The regular meeting of the Board of Trustees of the Village of Fredonia duly called and held on the 14th day of May 2012 at 7:30 p.m. in the Trustees Room, second floor, Village Hall, Fredonia, New York. And public notice of the time and place of this meeting has been given to the news media and conspicuously posted in one or more designated public locations in accordance with Section 104 of the Open Meetings Law.
Whereas members of this board present at the meeting read the official minutes of the Board of Trustees meeting April 23rd, 2012, and special meeting of April 30th, 2012. Now therefore be it resolved that the board approves the minutes as entered in official minutes. Be it further resolved that the reading of the minutes be dispensed with.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. Reports.
We have several reports tonight. The fire department report for March and April. March, they had a total of 147 calls, of which 116 were rescue and EMS. These reports are available, by the way, in the clerk's office if anybody wanted to read the extensive report. For the month of April, we had 137 calls, of which 112 were rescue and EMS. We also have justice reports for the month of March and April. For the month of March, there were a total number of cases of 282, total fines and surcharges of $20,293, parking tickets of $6,185, for total fees and surcharges of $26,478. The April Village Justice Report indicates 207 total cases with $16,425 in fines. Parking tickets of $2,945 for a total for the month of April of $19,370. The building inspector reports for February and March. There were a total of 5 building permits issued with a valuation of $25,300 and $370 collected in fees, 22 certificates of compliance, $1,160 collected in fees, and 12 certificates of compliance for commercial fire and safety inspections, $850 collected in fees. Total fees for the month, $2,380. The March report, let's see, where was that? That was February. March report, there were a total of 9 building permits with $380 collected in fees, 7 certificates of compliance for residential rental property inspections, $545 collected in fees, 13 certificates of compliance for commercial fire and safety inspections, $970 collected in fees, for a total of $1,895. Final report of the night is the police report. For the month of March, there were a total of 945 incidents reported, 134 arrests, 40 vehicle and traffic, and 124 parking tickets. And that's it for reports.
Correspondence.
Correspondence was received from Heidi Seddon, Community Chamber Coordinator, Fredonia Chamber of Commerce, requesting permission to use the gazebo in Barker Commons for the 14th Annual Taste of Fredonia, September 8, 2012, from 12 noon to 7 p.m. in connection with Red, White, and Blues Festival will be held September 7th and 8th.
Be it resolved that the request from Heidi Seddon, Community Chamber Coordinator, Fredonia Chamber of Commerce, to use the gazebo in Barker Common on Saturday, September 8, 2012 for the annual Taste of Fredonia is hereby approved, and that a certificate of insurance be provided to the village naming the village as an additional insured in the amount of at least $1 million, and be it further resolved that the event be subject to the direction of the Fredonia Police Department, and be it further resolved that the request of the Fredonia Chamber of Commerce to use the gazebo in Barker Common for the annual Taste of Fredonia, September 8, 2012 is hereby approved as set forth below. A, use of Barker Common, both sides, in the gazebo from noon to 7 p.m. B, to have portable bathrooms and dumpsters in the corner of Village Hall parking lot. C, additional trash receptacles and picnic tables set up on the gazebo side of Barker Commons. And D, to put up 2 tents which will be properly secured.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Correspondence dated April 23rd, 2012 was received from Bill Tucker, Executive Director of the American Red Red Cross requesting the use of various village streets for a 10, 25, and 50-mile Ride for the Red bicycle tour on Saturday, June 16, 2012.
Be it resolved that the request of Bill Tucker, Executive Director of the American Red Cross, is hereby approved to use various village streets for a 10, 25, and 50-mile Ride for the Red bicycle tour on Saturday, June 16th, 2012, starting at 9 a.m., beginning at SUNY campus, and will include several village streets and ending at the campus, subject to the direction of the police department and on the condition that the village receive a certificate of insurance, which has been received, naming the village as an additional insured in the amount of $1 million.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Passed.
Correspondence was received from Heidi Seddon of the Fredonia Chamber of Commerce requesting the use of the tourist information booth and area surrounding the tourist information booth for the annual 20 Miles of Attic and Cellar Days, June 1st to the 3rd of 2012, and to have the police department bag meters in front of the tourist information booth.
Be it resolved that the request from the Fredonia Chamber of Commerce to use the tourist information booth and surrounding area of the tourist information booth for its annual Attic and Cellar Days on June 1 through 3rd, 2012 is hereby approved, and be it further resolved that the Fredonia Police Department bag the parking meters on Main Street, Route 20, in front of the tourist information booth in connection with the annual Attic and Cellar Days.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed.
Correspondence was received from Melissa Sorcy Taft, owner of Feather Your Nest, regarding a proposed change in inspection procedures, and she feels this is an unfair proposal and would like the mayor and board of trustees to review their reasoning behind this proposed change. Also, correspondence, a letter of resignation was received from Jeffrey Ortolano, part-time police officer with the Village of Fredonia Police Department, resigning his position effective May 22nd, 2012.
Be it resolved that the resignation of Jeffrey Ortolano as part-time police officer of the Village of Fredonia Police Department is hereby accepted effective May 22nd, 2012, and the mayor is hereby authorized to write a letter to Mr. Ortolano thanking him for the service to the Village of Fredonia.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. Now's the time for the public hearing. This being the time and place for the public hearing on the proposed local law number 2 of 2012, entitled A Local Law Amending Section 287A8 of the Code of the Village of Fredonia. Provide for revised water rates proof of publication shown. Mayor, call the hearing to order. Would anybody like to discuss the water rate increase? Any questions, concerns? Going once, twice, 3 times, you missed your opportunity. Public portion of the meeting. Would anyone like to address this board this evening on any issue? Yes, sir.
My name is Mark Lauder, with the 301 Water Street, Fredonia.
Hi, Mark.
How are we doing?
Good.
I'm here in reference to the Fredonia Building Inspector. I can say that last year, June 23rd, Thursday morning, 9:45 in the morning, I observed him in Brockton. I then called his office to get verification of a ordinance that I was apparently in violation of.
Mm-hmm.
I was told that he was out and he would be back and he would call me. He did call me later in the afternoon. At that point, I did call trustee and told him what I did see. And apparently the board was willing not to do anything because he had the right to know his accuser. So I'm here to tell you that I am the one that saw him. And there's a lot of people out there that are not willing to come forward on such issues because of the harassment that you receive constant, year in, year out, about the same thing that your neighbor's doing, but you get written up for it. I've been in court 2-3 times a year on high grass notice, every year. I brought pictures of a neighbor, and I was told I could go upstairs and sign a formal complaint. I would like to know if there's any formal complaints out there about my property. I've never seen them. it's just that, and also I wanna know if there's any way that the board could set something up that people could call in and not anonymously, but not, I mean, publicly, they give their name and you're looking, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You can voice your opinion and you don't have to fear
Correct.
retribution from.
Right,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of people that I've talked to that said they don't wanna be involved because
It's not worth
they
it.
know that you're exactly right, it's not worth it. And it's just been to the point now where, how can it get any worse for me? So I figured, well, why not come out?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just, and also, if, I would like to know if the board has done anything to, how do I, you know, in an inspection, protect the homeowner or the landlord from any violence or whatever have you. I mean, is there any way that they could send a police officer for inspections too? You know, I mean, they should have 2 people in a residence at every time, not just the landlord and an inspector, because he could accuse me of something, I could accuse him of something. And I think that, you know, it would be better
For the third party.
for everybody if there was more than one person there.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, there would be a cost associated with that.
Well, I realize that, and you know what, as a taxpayer, I realize that, but
Mm.
you have to look at it from my point of view too. I wanna be safe, I pay my taxes,
Or you could recommend, if you don't want John, you could recommend Larry.
well,
I mean,
you know, that's true,
Mm-hmm.
but
we have told,
that being,
we have told.
that being
others.
said, is there something, when Larry gets back, that's gonna be changed or, you know?
Well, I mean, I think we've dealt with that in the past. I mean, we have sent Larry in for John. You know, speaking to your complaints, file a complaint, you have Rick and you have the mayor you can contact directly.
Right.
We have received phone calls, I think, in the last week of how to handle those situations of being anonymous. And it's very difficult because I was at that meeting, I guess that you speak of the 23rd. And it's really hard, Mark, I mean, you own a business, it's really hard to talk to a person and find out who the accuser is or how do you go through that next process without hearsay, because it's Fredonia, you know it.
I
it's
realize
enough-
that.
It's enough for hearsay. If
And-
we have something that's grounds, that, okay, this is a person that's coming forward, this is what happened, we have no problem with bringing it to the next level, whether it be John's department, street department,
Any
police department.
Well, I was
fire
just saying, I
department,
don't
we
know
do
if
it
there's
for
any way that they can come up with something that somebody, doesn't matter what department it is, that can voice their opinion without retribution.
Maybe like an email, something.
Well, I don't,
No.
No.
The
I mean, I
thing
don't
is,
know.
you're gonna have to attach a name to it at some point.
Mhm.
Well, you have your CFO and your CEO here,
Right.
so I mean, those are the 2 individuals that you need to speak to
Mhm.
directly.
and we've talked, you know,
Okay.
never on this subject right here. But if you have a concern, if anyone has a concern, I'm here just about every day, you know, especially after 10 o'clock, you know.
Okay.
But give a call, stop in, and the door's always open,
Okay,
okay?
I appreciate it.
Certainly.
Thank you.
Mark, what was that date again?
23rd.
June 23rd.
June
I have
23rd.
phone records to verify my call to here.
Of 2011?
Correct.
And what time in the morning?
9:45?
9:45, I called Linda at 9:50.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Anyone else like to speak to the public portion? I'd like to make one comment. Holly Hewitt, thank you very much for your service to the village as the correspondent. Holly's been moving on to other things. Well, she's got a full-time job in Buffalo and isn't going to be our correspondent.
Not at all.
Oh.
I know. Okay. But thank you very much for your service, and we'll remind you later, okay? Okay, thank you very much. Okay, if there's no one else for a public portion, resolutions.
The attached bond resolution authorizing the issuance of the 100,000 bond of the Village of Fredonia, Stock County, New York, to pay a cost of engineering assessment of the reservoir dam and is not subject to permissive referendum. Bond resolution dated 14th, 2012. A resolution authorizing the issuance of a 200,000 bonds of the Village of Fredonia, Kentucky County, New York, to pay the cost of an engineering assessment of the reservoir dam in and for the said village. To be resolved, by the affirmative vote of not less than 2/3 of the total voting strength of the Board of Trustees, the Village of Fredonia, Stock County, New York, as follows. A list of the bond resolution will be posted at the clerk's office downstairs. The question on adoption of the foregoing resolution was duly put to a vote and roll call as a result.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call vote. Trustee Siri.
Yes.
Trustee Brown, too.
Yes.
Trustee Brown.
Yay.
Trustee Reckman.
Yes.
Trustee Subject.
Yes.
I find 5 votes in favor, none opposed.
May I just make one real comment,
Sure.
Mayor, about this? And then this is in reference to the, and I've heard some issues with the Chadwick Bay and the work that is being done or going to be done with the reservoir and with Newton, Holmes, and Lowell. But, you know, these improvements, no matter if we're with Chadwick Bay or not, and with the comprehensive plan that we received from Chadwick Bay, the Village of Fredonia had to maintain their infrastructure and their dam no matter what. So these are improvements that must be done to the Village of Fredonia regardless of whether we're with them or not.
And
Thank
it
you.
need to be done in a timely manner.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Be it resolved that the training request for Jack Boland, Superintendent of Public Works, to attend the 2012 Annual Highway School for Superintendents in Ithaca, New York, June 11th through the 13th, 2012, is hereby approved at a cost not to exceed $525. This conference is sponsored by the Cornell University and New York State Association of Towns.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed.
Be it resolved that the regular and overtime payrolls of the various village departments and bills approved by the Finance Committee and set forth in abstract number 429 are hereby approved and directed paid.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed.
Be it resolved that the attached schedule of budget transfers pursuant to section 5-520 of the village law is hereby approved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed.
Be it resolved that the mayor is hereby authorized to sign a waiver of the 30-day liquor license notice for Old Main Inn, 24 Water Street, Fredonia, New York.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Passed.
Whereas bids for the water and sewer improvements project are publicly open and read on March 28th, 2012, and whereas Tolman Engineering of Jamestown, New York has reviewed the bids and recommended awarding the bid to J.D. Northrop Construction Incorporated, Route 219, Ellicottville, New York. Now therefore be it resolved that J.D. Northrop Construction Incorporated is hereby awarded the bid for the water and sewer improvements project at a total cost of $777,740.50, and further be it further resolved that upon filing with the village attorney the necessary insurance certificates, bonds, and any other papers required by the contract documents to the satisfaction of the village attorney, the mayor is hereby authorized to sign said contract on behalf of the village of Fredonia in the amount of $777,740.50. And be it further resolved this resolution is subject and contingent upon the final adoption of a bond resolution by the village board for the financing of this project.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Passed.
Whereas a public hearing was duly called and held before this Board of Trustees of the Village of Fredonia on the 14th of May, 2012, on the question of an enactment of the proposed law, local law, number 2 of 2012 of the Village of Fredonia, entitled A Local Law Amending Section 287-8A of the Code of the Village of Fredonia to provide for revised water rates. And whereas due proof of publication of the notice of said public hearing was presented to this board, and whereas a proposed local law was laid upon the desks of the members of the Board of Trustees of the Village of Fredonia at least 7 calendar days prior to this date, and whereas after due deliberation this board desires to enact said proposed local law, now therefore being enacted by the Board of Trustees of the Village of Fredonia as follows. Section 1. This local law shall be entitled a local law amending Section 287-8A of the Code of the Village of Fredonia to provide for revised water rates. Section 2. Section 287-8A of the Code of the Village of Fredonia, last amended on July 25th, 2011 by local law number 2 of 2011 is hereby amended to read as follows. Section 287-8, rates for metered water service with the Village of Fredonia. Part A, for water supplied by the Village of Fredonia from and after June 1st, 2012, and for each quarterly period thereafter, the following rates are hereby fixed and shall be collected on all water meter service within the Village of Fredonia. A minimum charge of $15 plus from 1,000 gallons to 100,000 gallons at a rate of $2.92 per 1,000 gallons consumption, plus over 100,000 gallons at a rate of $2.77 per 1,000 gallons consumption. There's a note here that water rates to the town of Pomfret and water districts shall be increased as provided by the contracts between the Village of Fredonia and the town of Pomfret. Section 3, this local law shall take effect June 1st, 2012. Be it further resolved that the village clerk is hereby authorized to cause notice of said enactment to be published in the Observer as required by law. And be it further resolved that the village clerk is hereby authorized to file local law number 2 of 2012 with the Secretary of the State of New York.
Second.
Okay, is this a roll call?
Yes, yes, roll call.
Okay. Trustee Siri.
Yes.
Trustee Brown, 2.
Yes.
Trustee Brown.
Yay.
Trustee Ruckman.
Yes.
Trustee Subject.
Yes.
I have 5 voting yes and none voting no. It's passed.
Be it resolved that the training requests from Kurt Madam, Ben Syracuse, Neil McKnight, Anthony Faso, and Larry Barter to attend the New York State Chiefs Educational Conference and Fire Expo in Verona, New York, sponsored by the New York State Association of Fire Chiefs, June 13th through the 16th, 2012, are hereby approved at a total cost not to exceed $1,572 and $1,572 to be paid by the volunteers.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed.
Be it resolved that the village board has no objections to Mr. and Mrs. Timothy Orzarelli tapping into the Berry Road Water District water main for a single-family home at 4600 Berry Road, Pomfret, Fredonia, New York.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed.
Be it resolved that the village sign an indemnification agreement for Niagara Mohawk Power Corporation for the hanging of a banner for the farmers market across Temple Street on poles of Niagara Mohawk Corporation and DFT Communications for the period of June 11, 2012 through July 9, 2012, and be it further resolved that the mayor is hereby authorized to sign said agreement on behalf of the Village of Fredonia, and the village will provide an insurance certificate to Niagara Mohawk Power Corporation and DFT Communications.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed.
Whereas New York State Labor Law Section 27B mandates that public employers implement a program to prevent workplace violence, and whereas a workplace violence prevention program policy for the Village of Fredonia has been presented to the Village Board and reviewed, now therefore be it resolved that said policy set forth below is hereby approved and adopted for the Village of Fredonia. Village of Fredonia Workplace Violence Prevention Policy and Incident Reporting adopted May 14, 2012. The Village of Fredonia is committed to the safety and security of our employees. Workplace violence presents a serious occupational safety hazard to our agency staff and clients. Threats, threatening behavior, or acts of violence against employees, visitors, guests, or other individuals by anyone on Village of Fredonia property will be thoroughly investigated and appropriate action will be taken, including summoning criminal justice authorities when warranted. All employees are responsible for helping create an environment of mutual respect for each other as well as clients, following all policies, procedures, and program requirements, and for assisting in maintaining a safe and secure work environment. This policy is designed to meet the requirements of New York State Labor Law, Section 27B, and highlight some of the elements that are found within our workplace violence prevention program. The process involved in complying with this law included a workplace evaluation that was designed to identify the workplace violence hazards our employees could be exposed to. All employees will participate in the annual workplace violence prevention training program. The goal of this policy is to promote the safety and well-being of all people in our workplace. All incidents of violence or threatening behavior will be responded to immediately upon notification. Village of Fredonia has identified response personnel that include a member of management and an employee representative. If appropriate, the Village of Fredonia will provide counseling services or referrals for employees. All Village of Fredonia personnel are responsible for notifying the contact person designated below of any violent incidents, threatening behaviors, including threats they have witnessed, received, or have been told that another person has witnessed or received. Designated contact person is Richard St. George, Village Administrator. Phone 672-2302, 911 Church Street, Fredonia, New York. Be it resolved that the Village Administrator is hereby designated as the designated contact person to be notified of any violent incidents or threatening behavior, and be it further resolved that the Village Administrator is hereby authorized to implement this policy.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Passed. Okay. Anything else from the board?
Make a motion to adjourn. How's that motion?
Can live with it.
I would like to make a motion that we go down to executive session first
Okay.
to discuss personnel matters.
Okay. Second. Do I have a second on that? Okay.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye.